Good day. It is January 17th, 2026. The world is currently looking up, but perhaps not looking closely enough. We are standing in the wake of a cosmic event that has fundamentally rattled the cages of the astronomical community. And yet, beneath the facade of scientific composure, a quiet dissonance is growing. Immediately after the flyby, several researchers who once entertained the possibility of artificial traits in this interstellar visitor have now fallen noticeably silent, replacing earlier speculation with a sudden, almost unified insistence that nothing unusual was ever there. We are talking, of course, about 3I Atlas. This is the third officially confirmed visitor from beyond the borders of our solar system, a traveler from the deep void that grazed our neighborhood just a week ago. Shutterstock. As of tonight, the object is moving away from Earth, having passed its closest approach on January 13th at a distance of 269 million kilometers. To the naked eye, it is gone. To the standard news cycle, it is already fading. But for those of us watching the raw data pouring in from the European Space Agency's JUICE mission and mountaintop observatories such as Subaru in Hawaii, the story is not closing. It is unfolding into something far more complex. What we are seeing in the telemetry reports filed between January 15th and January 16th is not the behavior of a standard dirty snowball. It is violent, it is structured, and it is baffling. The headline number that should be on every screen is this: 1.8 million kilometers per second. That is the mass loss rate recorded during the peak of the flyby. For a comet of this size, that is an immense, almost catastrophic shedding of material. But it's not just the amount of material, it's how it is leaving the body. Standard outgassing is usually chaotic, driven by solar heating on a rotating surface. What JUICE has captured, and what ground-based multispectral imaging confirms, is the formation of distinct sun-facing jets. These aren't just puffs of gas, they are coherent structures maintaining a rigidity that defies simple aerodynamic modeling. If you appreciate deep dives into the science that others ignore, make sure you are subscribed. We are following this trajectory all the way to Jupiter. The spectral analysis of these plumes has returned a fingerprint showing heavy concentrations of metals, specifically nickel and iron, in quantities suggesting a core composition unlike the fluffy aggregates we usually associate with comets. This implies a core bound by forces we don't typically see in geology. The jets are sun-facing, turning on with a suddenness that suggests a reaction to something other than just a thermal gradient. The imagery from the Subaru telescope reveals that the nucleus is fragmenting, but it looks less like breaking apart and more like deploying. The debris field has sectors, and the mass loss is asymmetrical. 3I Atlas is shedding mass to change its spin, shifting its rotation period dramatically in the last 48 hours. This contradicts what we thought about structural integrity. It holds together despite a spin-up that should tear a comet apart. It means we are dealing with an object of immense material strength. The color shift is another puzzle. As of today, January 17th, the spectral hue has shifted from a deep tholin red toward green. The official explanation is diatomic carbon emission, but the timing is wrong. This usually flares closer to the sun. For it to flare now, as it moves into the colder dark, suggests a new reaction has been initiated. At $220,000 km/h, this is a hit-and-run visitor. We missed our window for a physical sample, leaving us with remote sensing. Yet there are gaps in the feed, periods where telemetry seems paused or redacted. The mainstream narrative is a comfortable story of a dying comet, but the raw feeds from JUICE's magnetometers show structured electromagnetic pulses in the kilohertz range. This brings us to the silence protocol. Back in October, Harvard's AV Loeb was openly discussing the possibility of an artificial probe. The Breakthrough Listen project was searching for signals, but immediately following the download of high-fidelity telemetry from JUICE, the narrative was locked down. Loeb and others shifted overnight to discussing exotic outgassing. Why the coordinated retreat? It feels as though a briefing was given. Breakthrough. Listen released a statement saying no narrowband signals were found, but they haven't released the raw waterfall plots. This behavior mimics defense sector sanitization, raising the suspicion that the observatories picked up something that triggered a national security classification. We have identified specific holes in the data. The jets on 3I Atlas were observed to oscillate or vector in a rhythmic pattern, appearing like engine exhaust gimbaling used to stabilize a spacecraft. This is mechanically impossible for a passive vent. Furthermore, the EM surges detected by JUICE occurred in precise synchronization with the spin-up events. Every time the object increased its rotation, there was a blast of radio energy on the 1.42 GHz hydrogen line. Where is the Chandra X-ray data? The telescope was pointed at the target, the exposure was logged, but the folder is empty. This missing data is a red flag. If the object is emitting X-rays, it implies a high-energy power source, a reactor. The story is now heading toward Jupiter. In February 2026, 3I Atlas will skim by the gas giant at 52 million kilometers. Jupiter is a gravitational monster. If 3I Atlas is a rubble pile, it will be torn into a string of pearls, like Shoemaker-Levy 9. But if it is artificial and maintains cohesion, the rubble pile theory is dead. JWST is being retasked to watch this rendezvous. We are looking for exhaust flares as the object interacts with Jupiter's massive magnetosphere. It might even dump its data buffer or transmit a high-gain burst back to Sagittarius. This is our last look before it slings out of the system forever. 3I Atlas is leaving, and the silence it leaves behind is louder than any signal. It has held a mirror up to our civilization, exposing the fragility of our scientific transparency. If it was a probe, it treated us with cosmic indifference. We were just a waypoint, but the data exists on hard drives, and eventually it will leak. 3I Atlas was the third visitor, and it has forced us to see the sky as a busy ocean where other ships are sailing. We will continue to monitor the Jupiter rendezvous and push for the release of the X-ray data. The visitor may be leaving, but the questions are here to stay.